to be in the graduate program and all that stuff. And I think this relates back to what I said before. How can the school support you? If you have a passion about certain things, how can the school support you? So, you know, some of the things that you have to think about. And one thing about the academic program is that I always encourage people, if you want to go to certain schools and you have time, I'm sure you have time while you're in DVC. I know I have plenty of times before. Go to their class and sit down over there. See about the experience. See about how many people that they have in the class. I have a class where they have 700 people, and basically they curve the grades. Maybe most in DVC, % and above, you get an A, right? Over there, you could be having 98% and you could still get a C, because there's just so many of them and they're all smart people. So think about you know, the competitions as well, right? You go sit down in that class, you really get something out of it, right? And then if the professor talks something and you cannot get anything out of that because it's just so high, it could be two things, right? Your knowledge probably is not there yet, but it could be the second thing is that the level of understanding that they require is probably really high. So that's something that you have to think about. Social environment. I really suggest that you also put this into your factors. I'm sure from my testimony, I don't have any life in UC Berkeley. When I was in UC Berkeley, I was in DVC. I was doing really well. I study hard. I play hard. Basically. Typically, when I was a student in DVC, I usually, when I get my homework on Monday, I'll try to finish it on Tuesday, or at least finish it within the same week, so that on Friday into Sunday, I can have free times. I can just play all around, whatever, and then get ready for another weekend next week. But in Berkeley, I don't have those luxuries. Basically, my life, 18 hours is at school. I went to school 8 o'clock in the morning. I stayed until 2 o'clock a.m. I went back home, take a quick shower and sleep, and then go do the same thing again. It's basically having no social life in UC Berkeley is very not good, but I kind of enjoy it too because I have a lot of friends that does the same thing. So it kind of helped me going through the pain. But you gotta consider about that too, right? So we want to think about, you know, what can you do outside school's life? You know, do you want to play volleyball, football, what do you call that, football, tag football, whatever? You know, do they have a good varsity program? UC Berkeley used to have a very good football team. I don't know by now. Think about that. Maybe going to watch the football game every Saturday with your friends. You know, how's the nightlife goes? Like, you know, what would people do? Maybe after 8 o'clock, you know, do they go hang out, play cards, whatever, or do they all go to the library and study and sleep over there? You know, talk about demographic too. No offense, but when I was in school, so many Indians at UC Berkeley, so many Indians and so many Chinese people. They're so smart. Basically, you have to hang around with them because they know stuff, you know. So think about that too. It's talking about competitions. I just want to be honest, okay? You don't want to get surprised when you go to the four-year university. When you're in the class and you're the only thing, and then everybody else is Chinese and Indian, you're pretty much screwed, basically, right? So you have to keep up with the competitions because they're so diligent, they're so smart. For some reason, their IQ is way out here, where I'm over here, right? So I have to do twice as much work for them to, you know, as them. And that explains why I stay from 8 to 2 o'clock. All right? So think about those. Not necessarily this is the only thing. Put more stuff if you like. How easy it is to go to the airport from that place, you know, whatever. Cornell, for example, is a school where in order for you to go to the nearest airport, you have to drive 3 hours, for example. So that's something that people don't like to do because they like to travel, whatever. Put those in, get all your schools, give them a score. Go, if possible, go over there. If you have time, Thanksgiving week, go to the schools, to the area where you wanna go to, and look at the whole campus. classes, go sit down in there, and you'll be able to see how it feels like. Okay. Okay, and then last one. Once you know university, once you know about yourself, once you do your homework, you do your research, time to write it up, right? You have to know yourself and understand who your audience. Your audience is basically somebody who's going to read 10,000 papers, and they're not going to be putting special favor on your part. So you gotta understand, like, the people that's reading this is people that really demanding a good essay, good what do you call it, personal statement. So you need to understand those, and depending on what university is, you also need to understand what they really care about. If they really care about engineering, you need to talk maybe about engineering stuff. I don't know. The second is make it personal, because I believe every person has their success story. Don't steal it on the internet. Don't steal it from your friend, or your neighbor. You know, because if you don't know the whole story, if you're not going through that experience, you're not getting the value, and you'll not be able to convey that value to other people. Okay, so I would really suggest don't steal any ideas. Don't lie about your personal statement, because I believe everybody has their own success story. Okay, whether it's in your life, as a sister, older sister to your younger sister, whatever, you always have a success story. Nothing is more powerful than your own story. Okay. Third is like I put over here, it's better to plan ahead than write. I had a lot of issue with writing when I was in DVC, so I tend to try to make it up by start early and then figure out what I'm gonna write about, which is probably the worst way to spend your time in writing your essay. For you to structure, again, remember about your first paragraph, how you could get your best impressions, and work towards down the road, and then basically say, this is how I want to describe myself. This is my passion is all about. This is where I want to go. If you structure it that way, then you know the framework. Then you know it's a lot easier for you to write after that. And I would say start early. I think this is probably a good time to start. And look at it more frequently. The more you look at it, to me, from my personal experience, is when it's about the time where you feel like you want to throw up looking at your personal essay, because you know it already in and out, the comma, where the comma is, where the, you just basically, I'm so fed up with this paper, I just want to throw up. That's, I think, what I consider frequently. If you think that there's something new that always, when you read it again, what would I say about this? And then you feel like you cannot even figure out what you want to say, that means you're not doing it more frequently. You need to do more. Proofread your work with other people. I would suggest people that have a good English background, like maybe your English teacher, English lecturer. Work with them. But I would suggest don't go over more than 2 people. Find the best people that can help you write it up. Find the people that have the credibility and the experience to proofread somebody else's paper. The reason why, if you go talk to 6 people, everybody has a different writing style. So if you go to A, B, C, D, E, and as soon as you're done with E, when you go back to A, if he doesn't like the writing style of E, he will ask you to read. He will suggest that you will change it again. So instead of changing the contents, you're changing the grammars, or how the style should look like. So I'll always say, go with only 2 people, and I think it's more than enough to have them review your paper. Like I said, your first paragraph is your lifeline. So if you fail on your lifeline, your first paragraph, then you can say goodbye to that school, or maybe the rest of the school, right? Because if you really screw it up, I think most of the time the school will probably reject you, unless you try to make a different personal statement for each of the schools, which I don't think you guys are willing to do that, right? Right. So again, make your impressions, and keep the structure. First is make your impressions. Second is what? Have details, but don't be saturated. Okay? What's the third one? I also forgot. Make sure that the key point is explicit. Okay? And the fourth one is what? Be bold, but don't be arrogant. Okay? Alright, I think that's all I have. Any other questions you want to talk about? I'm